To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
In 1936, a machine was invented that was the hemp what the cotton gin is to cotton. The first American flag was made out of hemp. George Washington was a hemp farmer. All the soldiers at Valley Forge wore clothes made out of hemp. Every prairie schooner that crossed the West was covered in hemp.
Isn't that sick?
Hemp will produce...
I'm not talking... He's not talking about the use of marijuana.
Hemp will produce...
He is not talking about the use of marijuana. He's talking about the abuse of marijuana.
I'm trying to explain to you why the American people have been brainwashed into not understanding what's really going on here. If you can produce non-polluting fuel to run all of our cars cheaper than gasoline, you know who poured millions of dollars into recrim in Alaska? The petrochemical industry funded that campaign.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Marie?
No, sir. I beg your pardon, sir.
Look,
Excuse me.
you can declare a civil war in this country. It's 90,000 against 70,000. You're going to put that 70,000 in jail?
Excuse me.
Yes, Marie, you do get to speak. I know this audience will respect you and allow you to speak.
Excuse me. That initiative was done completely and totally by volunteers, by people like you and me who went out and collected signatures.
That's a lie. I read in the paper that the petrochemical put millions of dollars into recrim.
Excuse
the Tobacco Institute.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Let me give you the exact figures.
Go ahead, Marie. Go ahead.
Let me give you the exact figures.
Yes.
Excuse me.
We're listening, Marie. Go ahead.
For our initiative, we spent $7,000, collected 42,000 signatures. That $7,000 was used to pay for one person in a room to do all of the gathering work for us over a period of 5.5 months.
Yep.
Excuse me.
How much did the opposition spend, Marie?
Excuse me. We didn't have any opposition during the collecting of the signatures. Now, excuse me.
Please let her make her point.
I will tell you.
Partnership for Drug-Free America.
I will tell you. Excuse me. Let me talk.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, this is a unique experience for a Jewish guy to stand up here. I know how the Christians felt going to the Lions.
Yeah.
Excuse
People
me.
being thrown to the wolves are the
I
marijuana
am,
smokers.
I am compelled to ask this audience to
Excuse me.
demonstrate good old Alaskan courtesy
Yeah,
to the
behave
speaker
yourself.
and let her make her point. Marie, please.
All right. For this particular initiative, we collected...
You collected what?
We collected the last APOC on October 30th was $12,000. Excuse me, and I will tell you. Excuse me, and I will tell you.
Please make your point, Marie. We're listening.
We had very little money. Nobody was paid. Nobody was paid a nickel out of that $12,000 we
What
had.
about all the media propaganda and Bill Bennett, the drug czar coming up here to support this thing?
Let me just make a point, Marie.
I'd like to tell America that if you didn't load this place with so many potheads, they'd be a lot more polite.
Well,
I know what you
well,
guys
let me
take
say
to
first
get
of
in
all
here.
how flattered we are to have such a large crowd turn out to participate in our program. I don't want for a moment to be misunderstood. We are grateful for your enthusiasm. You clearly care about an issue that is not exclusive to the last frontier. All of us all over the 50 states of the United States are struggling with this problem. You will permit me, since I have gray hair, I will take the risk to preach for a moment.
Can I join
don't
you?
want you to lose your enthusiasm. But if you yell out in the middle of someone else trying to make a point, then you risk not being able to make a point yourself. I know that you're as proud of the democratic feature of our nation as I am, and that you would like to convey to the rest of the country, as well as the people watching in our program in other countries around the world, the fact that you respect other speakers and that yelling out does nothing but call attention to yourself and uses time that might be more properly delivered to arguing the issue before us.
And I'm
Please
embarrassed that
let
you
us
have to teach
respect the
Alaskans
speaker.
how to have good
Herb,
manners.
what is it you're saying, my
I'm
friend?
embarrassed that you have to teach Alaskans how to have good manners.
Well,
Marie, I have a question for you. I don't smoke pot, and I am not for pot. What I would like to know is, you guys have changed the law. What do you honestly believe that changing that law is going to do any good? Because people do it in the privacy of their own home. Hang on. And the only way that they're really going to get caught is if the police officers go into their home, see paraphernalia sitting around, and they can bust them. Do you really honestly think that changing this law is going to change catching these people?
It'll change it on the margins. You're not going to eliminate marijuana use. We know that. The question is, are you going to allow the inability to achieve perfection? Are you going to stop you from trying to make things better? And I'm suggesting to you that the fact that this is now against the law in this state is going to be used by some people as a means of saying, no, I'm not going to do it. It's illegal. It's wrong. Now, that is not going to eliminate marijuana.
Marijuana smokers are productive
I'm sorry to have to yell, but the vast
Marie,
majority...
you should be entitled to speak, and I know this audience will share the time with you. Go ahead.
One of the things that I'm very concerned about is that the attitude, the liberal attitude toward use and abuse of all drugs. Hopefully, what I am hoping to achieve with this law is to begin to tell our young people, this stuff is harmful, it is hurting you, and we will begin, hopefully, not only to change the attitudes of the children, but the attitudes of the parents. Now, let me tell you.
We have 400,000 people that die every year from alcohol and tobacco. Okay, no one ever dies from smoking marijuana, not one person.
Let me understand one thing. Up to now,
That's a documented medical fact.
now, our children have gone to school and have learned not to use. They've been told this is bad. Then they go home and see mom and dad using it. Now, excuse me, now, your son and daughter is going to come home, and when they see you using, they're going to say to you, Mom and Dad, you are breaking the law. Is it okay for me to break the law?
And we'll be back to Anchorage, Alaska in just a moment. Tells us that in 1989, here are the national figures, 43% of high school seniors smoked pot at least once. The Alaska figures show that 68% of your high school seniors smoke pot at least once. You smoke more pot here per capita than do people in the lower 48. National figures show that 17% smoked pot within the last month. The Alaska figures show 45% smoked pot within the last month. Do liberal pot laws promote more pot smoking? Incidentally, there's more THC in pot today than there used to be. 3.5%. That's up from 0.5% in 1974. So you get a buzz on a lot faster with the pot that's on sale today. One more thing. A high reaches its peak within 1/2 hour of smoking and can last from 2 to 8 hours after you've smoked pot. The body takes from 1 week to 1 month to clear itself from chemicals from one marijuana cigarette. Those who oppose the liberal marijuana laws claim, and there is considerable evidence to prove, that pot impairs memory, alters the sense of time, impairs concentration, affects your ability to reproduce, impairs your speech, you have lack of body coordination, and unexpected mood changes.
And I don't want that guy. And I don't want
can
that
also
guy
get
driving
bronchitis.
down the highway in front of me or on the same highway as somebody that I care about.
I
And
never saw anybody smoke a marijuana cigarette and
By the way,
stumble down the
Phil,
street the way they do on alcohol.
By the way, Phil, I read an article that my friend here wrote just before the program. The man couldn't get 10 words into the article without having to use a word that I can't say.
You mean dirty words?
That's right.
I would as soon ride in a vehicle with somebody that had smoked a joint than somebody that had been sitting in a bar all day. And you know what? It's legal. And
I think, Phil, what you're seeing is a very good example about the irrationality which was behind this initiative. Nobody seems to want to address the issue. Everybody wants to talk about how good or bad pot is. I don't care. I don't want the government in my living room, in my bedroom. I don't want the cops to have the right to break down my door or my neighbor's door because somebody thinks they're smelling pot.
We have more people in jail right now per capita than any other nation in the world.
This is an excuse for a police state. The war on drugs has become a war against the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Please, back here.
The paranoid are out to
Please
get
let
us.
this young woman make her point. Thank you, one and all.
we have to have a starting point. And the whole deal is if we're talking about alcohol is bad, cigarettes are bad, why do we need another harmful drug?
Yes. But the point is passing laws against it, obliging an already overworked police department to go in and stamp out what is essentially our own personal decision and our sin and something that's going to influence our bodies.
And that's another thing, that if you're an addict, you have to have consequences. That's a part of enabling. If we don't have consequences, they're not going to realize they have a problem. My point is that I have small children and I choose not to smoke pot, but I don't feel that they should illegalize it. Everyone's going to do it anyway. I feel that it is a right for people to do whatever it is they want to do as long as it doesn't cause any harm to other people within their own homes. That's what this country was built.
Mr. Donahue, I raised teenagers in Anchorage, Alaska in the 80s. My son was smoking at 12. There was nothing that the law said or did that could have changed his attitude toward smoking pot. I personally have called the Drug Enforcement Agency. I know of crack dealers here in Anchorage. I have called many, many times. They tell me to go in and make a buy because the police cannot keep up with the DWI, the alcohol, and the marijuana.
Your position is what?
My position is I'm not in favor of smoking marijuana. I'm not in favor of legalizing it. I'm not in favor of making it right to come into a home and arrest somebody that chooses to be responsible for their own right to smoke. I don't use it.
Well, you don't want the cops going into arrest.
No.
You're against the criminalization.
That's right. I think the criminalization law is doing absolutely nothing except overworking a police force when here in Alaska, we are turning criminals out. We are turning criminals out.
Let me show you what the former drug czar, and why did he quit? William Bennett came to Alaska during the middle of this campaign, and this is what he said to you.
And I just do not think, and I'll tell you I was the education secretary too, and given the performance of American education, the last thing I think we need is to make a drug that makes people stupid legal and more accessible.
Louis Armstrong smoked pot every day of his life. He's the greatest trumpet player America ever produced. Is he stupid? No.
I mean, wait a minute.
This name calling is getting us nowhere.
This is an example.
Alcohol and tobacco are legal. I have a right, if I don't want alcohol and tobacco, to smoke pot. I'll live 20 years longer if I smoke pot instead of drinking and smoking tobacco. The government can't tell me that I have to die because of their laws.
Yes, I've got a break here. I got a break. You understand that, being a talk show host yourself. And we'll be back to Anchorage, Alaska. This audience would like those watching to know something they probably already do, and that is that there's more than sin and doing bad things to your body and giving bad messages to your kids. Yeah, let's go over it one more time. Drinking martinis and beer gives bad messages to your kids. Now, wait a minute. We should at least give a respectful bow to those who are concerned about privacy issues in America at a time when the evening news, we've got cops breaking doors down, and we've got people standing there in their underwear. You better make sure you're dressing well from the bottom up, because you may be on the evening news. Are you concerned about what appears to be a rootin' tootin' shootin' disregard for the Constitution as America tries to deal in a military way with its drug problem?
Bill?
You wanted to say, Mr. Boyko, sir.
The Anchorage Bar Association, a group of professional lawyers, after listening to Senator Fritz Pettyjohn and others debate the issue prior to the election, voted unanimously. Can you imagine a bunch of lawyers agreeing totally on something? They voted unanimously to oppose this thing because it would lead to selective law enforcement. It would lead to
They wanted to keep the liberal pot law.
Yes, sir. Yes, not because they favor pot. I don't favor pot. I'm against all drugs. But I think when you pass laws of this kind, all you do is encourage people to be lawbreakers and scofflaws and have contempt for the law.
Yeah, over here.
I think that we need to be very, very careful about what we do in regard to privacy. I don't smoke pot. I have a smoke-free, drug-free home. However, if the majority of the people or the legislature decide that my Bible isn't appropriate, are they going to break down my door and take that too?
I just would like to ask these nice drug users out there if they're going to stay in their own home and do their drugs in their own home, can they absolutely guarantee that if someone outside needs their help, that they can, in their state of mind, go help another person and do a responsible thing?
They want to know why isn't the same question appropriate for alcohol abuse?
Phil, the same question, absolutely, without any discussion. The same question is appropriate to alcohol, but we're not talking here about alcohol. Why not?
I think that alcohol and marijuana need to be opposed, if any.
But not turned into
I just want to
crime.
make sure that the people that are doing their drugs and doing it in their home stay in their home and away from my children and school.
The kids are just going to rebel against it anyway, though. I mean, the more you say not to do this, they're going to want to do it.
Allure, because it's naughty to do.
I mean,
Well, then should everything be legal? Should there be absolutely no restraint on individual behavior? Because if you put a restraint on behavior, you're going to encourage people to engage in that behavior. That's
What about a freedom
nonsensical.
of choice? I mean, there's a seatbelt law, there's a helmet law, there's abortion law. What about a freedom of choice?
Well,
I think if you want to change the law, then you got to start by enforcing the old law, and then you got to start by reduction methods in the future years if you ever want to turn it around, because you can't just stop it to a whole...
They agree.
rumor has it, Phil,
Yes,
that
I'd like to address this
Senator Pettyjohn wants to make sex illegal because it leads to pregnancy. It's also addictive. It's also addictive for some people. Fortunately, I'm too old to be a...
Hang on, Edgar.
A first grader that I babysat came home the other day and told me that her father was smoking drugs. Come to find out, I know he does not use drugs. Come to find out that school teachers had misguided them and told them that smoking cigarettes was using drugs, which it is in a way, but I believe that they need a different way to approach it.
You all speak of freedom of choice, but you're the one that recriminalized it. You guys voted for it. What are you guys talking about here?
Bill, there's the one thing I'd like to address is this fallacious argument about if they don't like my Bible, will they outlaw it? That insults every ability of a human being to realize that somewhere along the line there is a point at which things become ridiculous, and some of us know where that point is.
Herb, I have to break here, but I have some questions for you. Just give me a second. Give me a moment with Herb. Herb, you're the talk show host. I gotta respect you. You're in a very, very noble line of work. Wait a minute. Give me a chance. Give me a chance. We know everything.
It may sound ridiculous to Herb.
Edgar.
It may sound ridiculous to Herb to outlaw the Bible. But I lived under Hitler when they outlawed the Talmud.
Edgar, does the name Donahue ring a bell with you at all? Here we go, Herb. Here we go. Here's my question. The music means we're long. Please give me this moment. If a neighbor after the time that this new law prohibiting possession of marijuana in the home becomes active, if a neighbor smells pot, can the cops break the door down to go and check?
No. It's a misdemeanor, Phil.
Wait a minute. I want to know if they can break the door down. Well, what good is the law? How are we going to catch these people?
The law specifies what crimes are severe, what crimes are break the door down.
So you can't break a door down to go bust a pot smoker inside his home.
Wrong.
Then why do we have the law
talking about the commission of a felony?
All right, and we'll be back in just a moment. High Times is the magazine of which Stephen Hager is his editor. Look at your 1975 cover here. This was when Alaska decided that if you're going to have 4 ounces in your home, in the privacy of your own residence, that it would not be illegal. This kind of imagery has upset not a few proud Alaskans who feel that the focus on this issue makes it look like you're all kind of Wild West, anything goes up here, and you're much too liberal. And there's a lot about Alaska that doesn't have anything to do with pot smoking. You also have to step up to the plate and be honest that your liberal laws have apparently promoted an increased use of marijuana among young people. Against these very distracting arguments, steps forward the erudite Edgar Paul Boyko and others to say, I don't like it, I don't think you should do it, I don't think anybody ought to alter their consciousness, but I don't want anybody coming into my home to tell me what I can do in the privacy of my own room.
I have 2 points, and the first point is that you out there saying they're going to smoke it anyway, why not legalize it? Well, if you're going to legalize pot, why don't you legalize coke and all the rest of the drugs that we're going to do anyway? My second point is, all of you are so worried about the cops coming into your homes. Well, do they come in now when children under 21 are drinking beer and doing all their other stuff? Do they come in now? Why will they come in then?
Yes.
I'd like to ask Mr. Boyko what he thinks the chances are that the state Supreme Court will overturn the law.
I would say that there is every right to expect that they will. Nothing significant has changed since the Raven decision. I think the legislature recognized that.
Edgar, will you bet me $1,000 on that? Will you bet me $1,000 right now at that point?
Over here. Over here.
I just wanted to say that I'm a school teacher, and in school we teach our children that drugs are very harmful and hurtful. And when they go home and they see mom and dad using them, what are they going to think? Our future are our children. And our future does not look bright if they're brought up on pot.
Yeah, but it's okay to watch whiskey, huh? Watch them booze and smoke and chain smoke. That's okay, right? And drink booze.
Yeah. How do you explain the fact that you can have it in your home, but it's illegal to buy it to take it home? Is this a contradiction?
That is a dumb law, and that should have been changed, but they changed it in the wrong direction.
Is it possible that this would be the pin on which the Supreme Court might overturn the liberalized private possession law?
No, because they created that.
They created it. The voters never created that. The court did. Not the voters.
Yes. Marie, you get to speak. Yes.
Yes. The court indicated that at the time they decided this was okay to use, it was because it was less than 1% THC. It is now 15% here, and the use at that time was such that it was not considered dangerous. However,
Go ahead, Marie.
However, privacy, they made it very, very clear that if that changes, this law should be changed. Also, privacy must yield when it interferes with the welfare of others. And it is interfering.
Give Marie that bag of pot there. Give her that bag. I want you to show that again, Marie. Give that to her. It's on the stage there. Please, just give it to her. Marie, hold that up. You made this early. If you joined us late, this is 4 ounces of marijuana. She wants you to know that that's a lot of pot. Show them the number of J's you can make with that.
You know, Phil, I wish that
Where
we
is
could
it?
remember...
Show them this.
290, a 19-year-old in our state had the opportunity to have 290 joints in his possession. Now, listen, this not only makes users out of our children, it makes dealers out of our children.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you. Today, the Associated Press reported that all states must suspend the driver's license of all convicted drug offenders or risk losing all federal highway funds under new legislation for President Bush.
This includes marijuana. What do you got here? You got a pot?
That's partially 4 ounces, but I'd like to ask if the issue is privacy, then is it all right for a person to smoke a joint each night and drive a school bus each day?
But once again, is it all right for a person to drink alcohol and drive?
Alcohol leaves the system much quicker than marijuana.
Hold on. I got a real live doctor here who treats drug addicts. I know that because she just told me. Let's give her a moment here.
Phil, this is a hoax that they're perpetuating that's saying that this is a safe drug. It's toxic. And it's bad for your system. It's bad for children. It's bad for adults.
I think most people agree.
All of which is irrelevant.
Hold it just a moment. Should we have laws prohibiting it?
Yes, but what they're selling on the streets now, the street drug, is 15% THC, and that's higher than what the UN says hash is, and hash is a felon.
The potency of marijuana has not changed in 8,000 years.
Well, I just wish this ought... Phil, can I make one point here?
Please let this woman talk. We have only a minute left.
I wanted to say there's a word that's missing from this whole conversation, and it's lack of responsibility by the people who are using anything.
Phil, can I make a point?
Phil, I think the bottom line is here, we have to teach our children to make better choices for ourselves, no matter what their parents or friends do.
Phil, I'll tell you what the bottom line may be. The bottom line...
As an adult, I should have the right to do what I want to do in my own house. If it hurts me, it hurts me. I'm not going to drive. I'm responsible.
Phil, I'd like to make a point if I can make a point.
The natives with alcohol, let's don't do it with marijuana.
The issue is that the use of marijuana is a disease. It's a chemical dependency issue, as is alcohol. That America is an addictive society. Until we start talking about it and doing something about it, we're not going to make any progress. And today's the first day to do it.
You know, we haven't even talked about the economic ramifications of this issue. Is marijuana second only to corn as the agricultural harvest crop of profit in the lower 48?
No, it's the biggest crop in America.
I just want to say, where are people going to buy it? It's illegal to buy it, and where there's smoke, there's fire.
Marijuana makes people lazy, and our jails are packed with people who don't want to work and can't work because they're stoned.
They outlaw it. That insults every ability of a human being to realize that somewhere along the line there is a point at which things become ridiculous, and some of us know where that point is.